So hi everyone, I'm Dr. Mina Jolapalli with Bluebird Dermatology. I am a board certified pediatric dermatologist in the North Houston Spring area, but I see patients all over Texas and actually Colorado for that matter. And I haven't done a Facebook Live interview in a while, and I have to say that my favorite part of having a platform like this is being able to share people's stories in the hopes that it helps others going through a similar journey as well, because everyone has a story to tell and I want to know yours. To me, that's the most beautiful part of life, to make and honor those connections with ourselves, with who we are, who we're becoming, with each other and the world around us. And that to me is where true healing lies. So it is Alopecia Awareness Month, and I am super excited to have my stunningly beautiful friend Megan Tompkins here with us to share her journey with growing up with alopecia and how she learned to love the skin she's in and become empowered to be an advocate for herself and for others. So welcome, Megan. So happy to have you on. This is going to sound kind of like a recurring theme because so many of my dearest friends and deepest bonds were made there, but I first met Megan at camp. She was a camper at Camp Dermadillo, now known as Camp Discovery Texas, which is an American Academy of Dermatology sponsored camp for kids with skin conditions. And I had the privilege of watching Megan as she blossomed from a shy, incredibly kind-hearted kid to a strong, intelligent, beautiful woman who is now part of our leadership team for camp. So it's been kind of like a full circle moment. So I hadn't seen Megan for a really long time, and we were doing or staff orientation for a camp last month, and I asked her where she was at in life, and she just casually dropped, "Oh, I'm starting my PhD in immunology in a few weeks." And I think I just about choked on my tea. And I was like, "I'm sorry, come again. Did you say PhD?" When did that happen? Which was, of course, followed by tears of pride because my baby's all grown up. So we'll get to all of that. But just Megan, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, hello. My name is Megan, and like Mina said, I'm currently in grad school working towards my PhD in immunology. I'm at the University of Michigan, and I gotta say the weather's pretty nice right now because it's not 100 degrees, which we dealt with in early August at camp. So that was a little rough, but here feels really nice. I was born and raised in Texas, and it's a definite change. When I was 11 years old, I was diagnosed with alopecia, and from there, that's where my entire journey with alopecia began. And it has had its ups, and it's definitely had its downs. And right now, I would say I'm cruising on upwards. So we'll see how that goes. But alopecia can be a roller coaster. So I'm just along for the ride at this point.
So for for people who are watching, there's all and from all stages of life and all different backgrounds. So why don't you tell us what alopecia is?
Yeah, of course. So alopecia is an autoimmune disease that kind of tackles your hair follicles and causes you to lose hair. So there's different stages of alopecia. So beginning stages could be alopecia areata, which is just bald patches. And then there's also alopecia totalis, which is just, I believe, you can correct me if I'm wrong, it's just total like hair loss on the head, but just like on the head. And then universalis is all complete body hair loss. And actually, so I was diagnosed with alopecia areata, and then that progressed further into universalis. And so I was completely bald for 3 years, and that was definitely a challenging time in my life because I was 15 years old, and my family actually uprooted from where I grew up. So I'm originally from the Woodlands, Texas, and my family uprooted to a really small town in central Texas. And that was definitely really challenging because I was at that point in my life, I was really struggling with the hair loss, and I definitely wasn't the person that I am today and as comfortable as I am in my skin then. Like I just wish I could hug her and be like, it's okay. But so yeah. But then all of a sudden I turned 18 years old and my hair started growing back. So I guess I would say that's kind of a rare case. I think sometimes I did a little bit of research about alopecia, and that there's some, I guess, kind of like a little bit of arguments going on that it's a progressive disease. Like once you hit universalis, it's pretty rare to get hair back. But then other people are like, well, it's very cyclical and it could go back, could leave again. It's just crazy. So yeah,
I would
it's a
say
little.
there's a lot of varied experience.
Yeah.
And there's a lot of factors that go into it. But for your experience, kind of take us back to when you were first aware that your hair was falling out. Like what was going on, around you? What were you thinking, feeling? What questions, fears, things that were going through your mind at that moment in time.
Yeah, of course. So I was 11 years old, and that was like more than 10 years ago. So it's a little hard to remember everything that went on. But little 11-year-old Megan, I guess it was probably my mom that noticed some patches on my head. And so we went to the dermatologist, and they were telling us that it was alopecia, but they're like, it could be stress induced. And I was like, but I'm 11. I'm not stressed. I'm in middle school. I'm not stressed out about anything. I'm having fun in my classes. I'm going to gym. I'm doing all these other fun things, and I don't think I'm stressed out. And so they kind of just push it aside with it being stress when I first got diagnosed. Luckily we found another dermatologist who then recommended us to her mentor in downtown Houston, and I was able to begin better treatments that were more suited towards me. I would initially, when I was 11, I was really really scared with, and kind of, I guess, more ashamed of how I looked, because I was different than everybody, and I had people come up to me and be like, "Oh, you're so brave. Like I couldn't have like cancer and still be at school." And so, because I would wear these little coverings on my head to hide the spots, and I was just like, that's not what I have. And they would put this kind of like guilt, like, oh, well, I don't have cancer, like sorry to make you feel bad. I don't know. But it was a really challenging time as an 11-year-old. And then once I got treatment and I saw positive results with my hair growing back, I started to feel a little bit better and more comfortable. And then once I got to like 7th and 8th grade, I went through another cycle of alopecia, which was rough because, when you're 13 years old, it's when you want the boys to look at you and all those little things that little teenage girls want. And I was really like, oh, a boy's not going to want to date me because I have no hair or anything. And I had treatment again and got through that. But then once I hit high school, this was probably the hardest time for me, is my hair just started falling out rapidly, and I did not want to let go of it. So there's a lot of old pictures of me with just like little hairs, and I would do like almost like comb overs and try to hide it as best as I could. But deep down, I knew that it looked bad, but I wanted to hold on to that hair so bad because I was just so uncomfortable and didn't want it to be real that I was losing all of my hair. But then I remember like the really tough day when like it was just so bad. My parents were like, it's really time, like we just need to have this moment. So I can remember being in my dad's bathroom and him having his little clippers, and my mom being in there with me, and my dad shaving my head and saying goodbye to my hair at that time. And at that time I was 15 years old in my first year of high school. And honestly, I thought like this is the end of the world. Like I didn't want to go to school. I was so uncomfortable with how I looked. And it was just truly, it was just so difficult for me. But luckily, my dermatologist recommended me to go to Camp Discovery or Camp Dermadillo. Unfortunately, it was a little late, and I wish she would have told me about it when I was 11, when I first started seeing her, but at least she told me. So I was able to go to this camp, and I think it was at the perfect time because I was in this transitioning period between my first high school and then moving to the new high school. So I think that was a little more helpful because I was able to see other people that looked like me. And that was just really, I guess, transformative. And I was just like, I'm not that weird bald kid. There's other people that look like me and they're happy and they're able to be a little bit more comfortable than I am because they were in a different diagnosis stage than I was. They had hair loss longer than I had. So it was really great to have that camp, I would say. So
How did
long
you?
story short, I loved it.
I mean, I think one of the things that I think so many folks out there would like to know, because it wasn't a struggle. I mean, obviously you're in a really good place right now, but back then, how did, as an 11-year-old kid, how was it explained to you? What was your understanding of what was happening to you?
What I was told is that my body is just fighting off something that's not bad, and that it's just attacking my hair, and we don't know why, but it's happening, and I'm sorry, and here's your cortisone shots that you need in your head, and it hurts. So that's kind of what it felt like when I was 11. I was just like, oh. But I also heard another person describe it as you have an overreactive immune system. That means your immune system's really strong and they want to go fight your hair even though they're not supposed to. I was just like, well, I guess that works as a kid. But
How much
yeah, it was a little different.
how much involvement did you have in the decision-making process about treatment?
I would say in the beginning, because we had no idea what was going on and how to go about it, we kind of just went with what the doctors told us would be best. And so at that time, when I first got diagnosed, it was the shots in my scalp. But then when I went and transferred to Houston, it was the actual, they called it at the time a new drug. I don't know if it actually was at the time, but it was the squaric acid. And so that was placed on my scalp. And those were really painful, but it was working. I would say if I didn't see the super positive results, like, I guess what I'm trying to say is I wasn't forced into these treatments. Like, I think if I told my mom that I absolutely will not go, this is torture, she wouldn't make me go. But I feel like I wasn't given as many options to other treatments other than those two.
I often talk about how when people have any kind of, whether it's a chronic skin condition or other kind of chronic illness, it doesn't just affect you, it affects all the people around you, all the people who love and support you. And how did your family handle it?
I would say I think I would definitely have to ask them, because what I'm seeing is through my eyes, and how I felt like they were doing it is, I mean, my mom would drive us 45 minutes just to get to downtown Houston in traffic, maybe 45 minutes to an hour to get there. She would do anything for me to feel more comfortable in my skin. And then my little sister, she was so sweet. She didn't necessarily, I think at that time she was, I think 9, 8, 9. She didn't really know what to do best, but she would always tell me like, Megan, I'll shave my head with you. Like, I'll do all these things. So, and of course, my dad, I mean, he's bald, but it also helped because he's like, oh, look, I'm bald. It's okay. So I think they were all very supportive, and I think that they did the best that they could do with being completely unknown in this field.
When you said that, like when you mentioned that other kids would ask about it or they would assume that you had, cancer or something, like what what'd you say? Like how did it make you feel? How did you answer?
Internally, I'd be like, ugh, not again. But externally, I'd be like, oh no, I actually have alopecia. This is what I have. This is why I don't have hair. And they'd be like, I don't know what they would say back, but I remember internally being like a little annoyed that they would ask, but also like, okay, I should tell them what it is, not like keep it like it's not a secret. So I would definitely tell them what I had from what I understood it to be as a child.
Okay. What helped you kind of do you wish you had said or done anything differently?
I think I wish I would have been more comfortable. Like I wish, I mean, I know it's hard at first, but I wish I would have embraced the baldness a little bit more, the patchiness more, because sometimes I'll be randomly walking around outside and I'll see someone with patches, like bald patches on their head. And I'm just like, I wish that when I was younger, or even now, I wish that I wasn't so self-conscious about my spots and be like that person, because maybe they are self-conscious about it, but at least they're like outwardly being like, you know what, this is what I have. I'm proud of it. Maybe like internally they're a little trying to fight their own battles, but they're also showing other people, you know what I mean? I wish I was a little more brave as a child, because everyone always tell me, oh, you're so brave. You're so brave. And internally I was like, no, I'm not. I'm not brave. This is really hard for me.
Were you bullied?
I don't think I was ever bullied per se, but I will say that I had this one really tough instance in high school. When I switched high schools, I guess let me preface this. My first high school, when I told them I was bald and told them I wanted to wear baseball caps all the time because there was a no hat rule in school, I told them, this is what I'm comfortable in. I will wear hats. And they're like, okay, that's fine. Here's a principal note. If a teacher tells you to take your hat off, give them the note. We're fine with it. When I moved high schools, this principal made me go around. First of all, he made me meet with all my teachers, tell them I have alopecia, tell them I have no hair, and that I'm wearing a wig. And then he had the school guidance counselor follow me around the entire day, going class to class, telling everyone that I was bald and was wearing a wig.
How old are you?
I was 15. Yeah.
Were there, gosh, okay. So much to say about that, but were there tools you wish you had had that could have helped you better knowing what you know now of the resources that are out there?
I mean, I don't know. I don't know how to answer that. Because, all these things happened for a reason. And I know these things now because they did happen. So if they didn't happen, I wouldn't know about these resources, I guess. So I don't know if I would want to, yeah, I think what I want is that I don't want this to happen to anyone else. So that's why I spread the awareness about it. I can't change what happened to me, but maybe I can prevent it from happening to someone else.
Well, if you were to talk to that girl who was struggling through all of this, what would you say to her now?
Ooh, what would I say to her now? That's really tough because um it's a really hard thing because you want to feel for this person and understand that their emotions, they are very, very valid, and that it's okay to be uncomfortable. And I could tell them all, like I could tell this person all the time, it's gonna be okay, we'll get better. But I just don't know the best words to say, because in that moment I had felt those things, and anybody could have told me it's gonna get better. And I just didn't believe them in the moment. So I don't know the best words to say, because I guess maybe just be there, like, okay, I've been here. If you need anything, you can always talk to me, you can confide in me, because I know the struggles. I know what you're feeling right now is really hard. But I mean, I'm going to say it, but it will get better. You will get better. But what you're feeling right now is very valid. And that with time, it you'll be able to, I don't I don't know. This is a really hard question.
I'm just asking you to talk to yourself. What would you have wanted to hear? If you
I
want
don't
to talk to your 11-year-old self
if I had talked to myself.
right now, you mentioned that, I want
Yeah,
to give her a hug.
yeah, I would want to give her a hug. That's what I would want to do. I would tell her that, you look like this right now. You have all these fears, like you're not going to have a boyfriend, you're not going to get into school, you're going to be too afraid to do things, and you're just going to want to hide. Well, you don't. You share scary, vulnerable things on social media now, telling people that, hey, I am bald. I still get bald spots. You have a loving, caring partner who has been there, sat through appointments with you, cared for your sore scalp after, and you're doing something that you're super passionate about, and hopefully you will be changing lives one day.
Okay, well, you entered that. Tell everybody what you're actually studying to do. This is the full circle moment, y'all. This is the part that when she told me, so tell us what you're studying, Megan.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, so like I said, I'm at the University of Michigan, and I would like to get my PhD in immunology. I'm hoping that I don't know exactly what I will be doing my thesis and research on currently, but my future goals are to work on autoimmune diseases like alopecia and create better drugs, better treatments that are less painful for patients, or that can render them in a better state that isn't immunocompromised, but also they're healthy still and it's not super painful. I just want to make some kind of impact, especially because alopecia is in my heart, especially in alopecia. But in general, autoimmune diseases are my love and my passion, and I want to help create new drugs and treatments for these diseases. So hopefully everything goes well for my PhD. I just started, so I got a long time away.
What would you say that you struggle with the most now, if anything, with alopecia and just in life in general, even just nothing that having to do with alopecia?
Okay. In life, I would say my biggest struggle is balancing my work and my passions, my loves, because right now I'm dealing with a lot of classes that are taking a lot of load, but I would also like to read, and I would also like to do arts and crafts, and I would like to do my little things. So that's a little hard, and trying to figure out life in Michigan away from my family is a little hard. Luckily, I do have that wonderful partner I talked about. We're living together and we're trying to figure out Michigan together. He's also getting his PhD. So we're in grad school together, struggle bus together. And alopecia struggles, I would say, finding the right dermatologist in Michigan. I'm about to go see one in a couple weeks, so hopefully she's really good.
The reason why I asked that question is to make sure that people knew that it has not defined you. It has not limited you in any way. You still have similar struggles and challenges, just like everybody else, trying to figure out, being in a new place, figuring out new weather. Oh, it's going to get cold up there. You're used to Texas, so go get you some clothes. But it's one thing that obviously that if anybody's hearing you talk right now, that you've still been able to shine and in who you are, and what you're doing and putting out into the world. So what do you love about alopecia?
What do I love? I love the community that it has brought me. I love being able to not look at people that have hair loss and not assume cancer. I love having my little niche and understanding that they have similar struggles to me. Though alopecia has brought its challenges. I'm glad that I have it because it's made me the person that I am. I would not be this same person that I am today without it.
I'm going to share one of my favorite stories of you. We were at an event where a mutual friend of ours, Rick Widati, came. Rick Widati is a professional, he was a fashion photographer for many, many years. And he just kind of became disillusioned with just how beauty was defined in the fashion industry. So he set out to change that, to find beauty in all of us and and the humanity in all of us. And so he now is a photographer where he takes beautiful photos of people with different, chronic illnesses, genetic conditions, skin conditions, visible differences, all kinds of stuff, just to show that there's more to what we're seeing than just what's on the surface of the skin. And before this event, the very first thing that I noticed about you at camp, which now everybody gets to see this too, is your just 1,000 bajillion watt smile. I didn't see that you were bald first. I saw this smile and I was like, whoa, that light that you just exude as soon as you walk into the room. And Rick was able to capture that in this beautiful photography session that he did with you and so many others who are going through something similar. And I see that picture, and I actually use that picture in the promotion for this, and it captures just the light of who you are. And and that you are now kind of transforming that light or shining that light on the next generation of campers who are going through similar struggles that you are. And I just, that part is just, it makes my heart so happy that we've been doing camp for long enough that we've seen campers now go from campers to counselors to now leaders, where you are advocating for yourself and for others. And that I couldn't be more proud of kind of watching that journey and seeing where you're at. And it's not to say that you're not still struggling, you still are. But being able to share your story allows other people to do the same, and it empowers them to do the same, and it takes away the power of those struggles and allows them to shine and showcase who they are and who they're becoming. And one of the things that I always say to kids is that I know that what you're experiencing right now is really hard and it's a struggle, but it's going to become a superpower. And why do I say that? Because of people like you. It makes you stronger, it makes you kinder, it makes you more compassionate towards the pain and suffering of others. And what most people want to do is they want to make sure that other people don't experience the same thing that they're doing. And that could be in lots of different ways, whether it's being, speaking out and sharing your story, or, or influencing the next generation to be empowered in the beauty of who they are, or, actually studying and doing research to trying to find other ways to help these kids and heal them in so many different ways, not just physically, but mentally, socially, emotionally, all of those things. And so I'm so proud of where you are at now and what you continue to do. And my favorite question to ask, I'm going to ask you that, is what brings you joy?
What brings me joy? Oh, what brings me joy? I would say I'm acting like it's a tough question, but there's lots of things that make little things that make me happy, and
big things. It doesn't matter what
I
comes
love, well, I'll say I love coming home and putting on my slippers. I love coming home from a long work day and putting on my slippers. That brings me joy, coming home and relaxing.
up. Well, it's a sense of home. It's a sense of, you accomplished something in that day, you did something, and now it's the end of the day, and you're grateful. I think that is perfect.
Another, I would say, other things is, so right now I'm doing my PhD, is so what we call is rotations, and you basically, quote, speed date a research lab. And so for 8 weeks, I'm in a lab learning about this specific researcher's science that they're doing, their different techniques and stuff that they're learning in lab. I love it when I get a new technique down and I'm able to do it independently, because I get to come home, tell my partner, I learned how to do this and I did it all by myself. And so that's really fun, because then what I'm learning there, well, I get to eventually do it later and hopefully use these techniques and develop my own research and all these things. And I love, science is fun. Doing the science is really fun, and I love it. And it brings me joy when I get that little positive energy coming from when I do something independently in the lab.
Well, and so that part of camp never changed, that stayed with you this whole time of just continuing to stay curious and learning new skills and challenging yourself in new ways. There's something that brings joy in that, and in how we're learning and growing as humans and as beings that are doing things out into the world. So Megan, is there anything that I didn't ask you that you wanted to share with everybody today? Or any parting words?
Parting words. Well, if anyone listening is struggling with alopecia, one of my most common phrases I say is, you're definitely not your hair. You're more than your hair. You are beautifully and wonderfully made, and it's not all about the hair. So you are you, not because of your hair. So that's what I'll say.
Well, thank you so much, Megan, for being so open and vulnerable and sharing your story. I know that this hasn't always been in your comfort zone to be able to do that. So I'm so grateful that you took this time to share your story with everyone, and how you were able to transform your pain into meaning and purpose and joy. And I I can't wait to see how you're going to continue to change the world in the way that you've changed mine. So thank you everyone for watching. With deepest gratitude and joy, keep spreading your love and light.